Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the From the Stands podcast. We are back for episode number 92 on this January 27th, 2026 for another jam-packed episode for you guys. A lot of stuff going on in this episode as well. We did lose a little college football, but I'll throw it over to my boy Fezzy, and he'll tell you what we got coming up. Every time we see you now, Fez, we got another layer going on, so it just gets colder and colder.
Yeah, it keeps getting colder and colder. Hope everybody survived the major snowstorm that we apparently had this past week. Wasn't too bad here, but we'll get into that in a little bit. What we'll also get into in a little bit, conference championship weekend against the Rams versus Seahawks, Pats versus Broncos 2. Well, I guess I'd say one very, very good game, and then another game happened as well. We'll dive into that. Then we'll dive into the coaching carousel. Lots of hires going down, some good, some bad. We'll take a look at that. Shador making the Pro Bowl, ? We'll talk that as well. And then Bill Belichick snubbed from the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. We'll give our thoughts on that as well. And then we'll hop it over the pond with some Premier League, Serie A, and maybe a little La Liga action coming up next. But before we dive into this episode, we would appreciate if you guys would like and subscribe, rate and follow on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. That would help us out a lot, would help us push the podcast out to new people. But like we kind of alluded to, we hope everyone stayed nice, safe, and warm. We were told we were going to lose power during the storm. Neither of us did. It was a little worse up north, but yeah, it is colder out here in my garage. Got an extra layer on, trying to stay toasty warm. Sam's inside, so doesn't have to worry about that. But how was your I guess weekend? Was it over the weekend? I don't know. It just was like
Saturday.
It
Sunday,
happened and then it was gone.
Monday.
But like, how was your weekend?
Yeah, it was
the snowstorm?
Good. Obviously, everybody was hyping up this storm to be like, catastrophic, worst one in 10 years. Yeah, something like that. Obviously, we got the lesser end of the storm. Obviously, it's going up through like 3 states or something. A lot of people north of us, like in Tennessee and, Ohio and several states up there, were losing power and a lot of damage. But like I said, we got the lesser of it. And I was telling people all weekend, I was like, it's going to clip us. It's going to be a little dusting. It's going to be cold, and that's about it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, we're going to lose power for like a week. Rah, rah, rah. I was like, nah, bro. So Saturday came, there's a little bit of something there, and it's starting to sleet a little bit. I was like, okay, this isn't bad or whatever. And then Sunday came, and I was tracking it like the whole weekend through my Apple weather app.
Really?
And I was like, if this is true, like we're gonna be completely fine. And then like it was just a couple little raindrops here and there of some freezing rain, and then we were done. I was like, dude, we're literally in the clear. So
yeah,
it was not as bad as it was hyped to be, but a lot of ice. So last 2 days I worked from home, so that's been nice.
Oh, that's nice.
But,
yeah. Very nice. Yeah, I was shoveling ice at work yesterday, so 2 worlds, definitely very, very different. I'm gonna look super ignorant and dumb here, but like Romania is like cold, right? Like you guys get winters and stuff like pretty badly, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're on the same like longitude as like New York, basically.
Gotcha.
We don't get quite the severity, I would say, that you guys do, but we definitely. I grew up with snow basically every winter, and very, very, very cold and stuff. So
gotcha.
Very used to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just so like everyone kind of has the context. Like, I grew up in New York, which New York was like really, really cold this past weekend. But other than that, like they were all fine. My parents are dealing with some like frozen pipes and stuff like that, which is par for the course in winter. But yeah, Sam and I are no stranger to a winter weather. It's just a little odd to have it down here because I think. Well, when I moved here, everyone was like, yeah, we have had snow in like 50 years. And then literally as soon as I moved down here, it was like the week that I moved here back in
2022 was bad. I'll say that. That was
2022. Yeah, we got that one snowfall and it stuck around for like a good week.
Yeah.
Like that was.
It's because it wouldn't melt.
Crazy.
It was so cold. But no, the reason that I thought it was going to be fine is because everybody was hyping this up from like Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. And I kept like I said, I was just monitoring on my phone, and like they kept moving back when we were going to get the snowstorm.
Yeah.
And like it wasn't like the whole storm was moving. So it's like all right, it's going to be from like Friday to Sunday. It wasn't moving from like, all right, Saturday to Tuesday. It was just like Sunday was still the end of it. They were just moving it back. So like we were getting less and less of it. And I was like, we're
Right.
going to be completely fine. So,
Yep.
but yeah, definitely a little over the top for some Northerners, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
For you and I.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely was the same way. They kept moving it back and back. I was like, are we even gonna get this thing? Like, is this even gonna happen? And then we got some of it. And there was a lot of ice, and like the South is not equipped to deal with that much ice, so
Yeah.
hence,
So how's
not
work?
doing anything on the weekends. Yeah, work was yesterday was fine. I literally did nothing except for like clear ice at the shop, and I did some odds and ends in the shop. But today sucked. I was outside today, and it wasn't as cold as yesterday, but it was still cold. So,
Did
not
they at
happy
least let
about
you
that.
go early?
Not really. No, it's kind of just back to work.
Dang.
My boss is from Michigan, so he's kind of in the same boat where he's just
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't give a crap.
this is fine. This is like
Yeah.
everybody's working in this up north anyway, so it's just kind
Yeah.
of like, okay, I guess there's no getting around this. But
Yeah.
other
Just
than that,
last thing, add a little context on that. Joy obviously works at our church part
mm,
time, and most of the pastors there are like from the northern states, Wisconsin, that kind of thing. But there's one
yeah,
pastor who's like kind of the boss, like he's the
mm,
administrative pastor, and he's from South Carolina. And the
oh,
difference in
okay,
how he was reacting to it and how everyone
yeah,
else was like completely different. Like
mm,
I was just saying, contrasting bosses. If your boss was from South Carolina, he may have like
right.
just let everybody stay home. Like he was
I would
just
have
like,
been
yeah,
off
don't
today.
come
Yeah.
until like noon. He was sending everybody pictures of like the security cameras with like this much snow on the ground. He's like,
Yeah,
this is what it looks
yeah.
like at church, yada yada yada. I was like, dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, if you
yeah.
would have had a boss from SC, maybe you would have had the last couple of days off. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I just had to have the like one of the only jobs that had someone from Michigan working it. So,
I
but
guess.
that's all right. We survived yesterday and today, and I think that's kind of it. Like most of it melted today, and then
Yeah.
it's supposed to be colder like tonight. Like it's below freezing tonight, but it's slowly all melting away. So as the week goes on, I think we're supposed to be fine. But
Yeah, roads are fine.
yeah,
So
yeah, glad that everybody's okay and that we all survived the winter storm of the century apparently. But
yeah.
without further ado, we're gonna get into the episode. Got some good games to recap, some really, really good games in the NFL season as it sadly comes to an end, but we will get into that right after this.
Starting off the NFL portion of the podcast with a little conference championship weekend action. I'm going to start off with the nightcap first. Rams, Seahawks, instant classic in an all-time QB battle, which sees Sam Darnold and company prevailing 31-27 on the day. Unfortunately for Stafford, and all of his weapons over there, they're not able to come back and get it there at the end. But Fezzy boy, give us a little rundown of what this game was like and your opinion on it.
Yeah, dude, this game, I was obviously looking forward to both games, but this was the game that everybody was talking about. Everybody was hyping up. Some were calling it like the Super Bowl because some people are not too high on the Patriots, which we might be a couple of those people, but we'll get into that when we talk about that game. But really, really good game. Both quarterbacks going at it. Like this was a prove it game for Darnold, but this was also like a legacy game for Stafford. If he was able to get into the Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl, get that second Super Bowl, and a lot of people believe he's winning the MVP, which we both believe as well. Hopefully that's the case. He's just been playing at another level, and he showed it in this game, dude. He was even showing flashes of things I've never seen Darnold even do. Like, I mean, I think it was in like the third quarter. It was like on a third down, like big third down because they were down at this point, and he like broke that tackle to get the first down as he scrambled down the middle. And then he had that one where he like tucked like he was gonna run and then shovel passed it to Puka to the right and picked up another first down. Like he was pulling everything out of the bag. Like he was just trying to will them to a win. Unfortunately, it ended up being I believe the better team ended up like the overall better team won. I think the Rams have a slightly better offense because they just have honestly some better pieces. But I mean, JSN and Puka are like right there, like 1 and 2 wide receivers in the league this year, playing at a really, really high level. But it just came down to like, I mean, Seattle's defense is out of this world, dude. They were, I mean, I mean, Stafford handled it well, but but it was just a really, really good game, really close game, and it came down to some of the fine margins that we'll dive into. But what were your initial takes from this game watching it?
Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of knew this game was going to be really, really good from the get-go. Obviously, both of these teams had played twice before already this season, split both of those games. One of them being super sloppy play by Sam Darnold, being kind of the reason the Rams were able to get that dub. But this game literally had like everything you would want in a championship game, in my opinion. Like both quarterbacks obviously, dueling it out, over 350 yards for both of them, 3 touchdowns. Both defenses came to play too, so it wasn't just all offensive either. Like there were plenty of stops, plenty of, opportunities for the defenses to kind of make their presence known as well. They had some special teams gaffes, more of the Rams than the Seahawks, but so obviously, you got JSN and Puka going off for 150 each. So like, it's just everything you would want in a game you had in this game. Like Kenneth Walker coming to play as well. Really, he's really come on this playoffs. Obviously, he's always been a good back, but he had his coming out party for sure last weekend against the Niners, having 3 touchdowns. But again, like I said, just every facet of the game was incredible. I think the turning point, or one of them, I guess, was definitely the Rams special teams error, giving the ball to the Seahawks way down in their territory. But yeah, like I said, just this game just had everything and back and forth, and also had a dumb penalty on the Seahawks defender there, Tariq Woolen, on that, like on a third down.
Oh man,
I thought, bro, if they come back and win this game because of that,
all his fault.
He would have been released the next day. So
I wouldn't have gone back to the locker room if I was him. If they lost, what are you doing, man? Like, just have a brain for half a second and realize you're in the biggest game of your life, and you literally just gave them a first down. And that was going to be a turnover on downs, right? Like it was third down.
Well,
it was
going to be fourth. It was going to be fourth, or was it
fourth and like 13 or something like that?
Yeah. Either way, it would have been either punt and they get the ball back, or it would have been a turnover on downs. I can't remember exactly, but just stupid. And like the ref gave him a little bit of leash, because like if you watch the play, he's right next to the ref and he's like talking, starts to go back to his side of the field, and the ref's just like, all right, I'm gonna let it go. And then he like kind of goes back and says something to McVay or whoever he was talking to there, and that's when the flag came out. So you could tell the ref was trying to let it go, and then he kind of made it impossible for himself there, which is almost came back to bite him. But another big turning point in the game was the Cooper Kupp catch. What did you think about that one? Did you think that was a catch? Did you like the spot? Obviously, the McVay challenge situation was a little bit confusing afterwards as well. What did you make of the whole thing?
When I first saw it, the first replay, I was like, I don't think he made it, man. Because they gave him the first down on the play, and I was just like, I don't think he made it. And also, I wasn't even thinking anything about was it a catch or not? Because all throughout watching football growing up,
I thought of.
Really, was it?
Yeah.
That was the first thing you thought? It wasn't a catch?
Just because, well, you see the ball come out at the end, and with the insanity that these refs, you never really know from crew to crew what they're going to rule as a catch and what they're not. And with the rules how they are nowadays, they get so specific with it. I feel like a guy can make a catch, go 3 or 4 steps, and then as he's getting tackled, kind of cough it up, and they rule it incomplete. So when I saw that catch happen and the ball come out at the end, even though he's trying to reach for it, I was like, they're probably just going to rule that incomplete. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, my initial thought was I thought he was definitely short. I didn't even think it was really that close. It really didn't look like he got the first down, but it is what it is. And then as they were looking at it more, they're like, well, isn't that not a catch? Kind of like what you were saying, like the insanity that's been going on the past few weeks, just from not only the Rams getting that call, with the Devontae Adams catch, but then the Bills getting that Brandon Cooks interception called, and everyone's talking about well, you have to survive the ground. He clearly didn't survive the ground. He's being tackled, going to the ground after he caught the ball, and the ground is what jars the ball loose. So by what we've been hearing for the past couple weeks, that shouldn't have been a catch. And then you had the whole McVay thing where, I mean, it's kind of you wonder how he didn't know because he's such a smart coach. He's like one of those guys that's known for like
Yeah.
knowing a lot of these things. But he calls a timeout, kind of to stop the play. And then he wanted to challenge. And it wasn't the fact that at first I thought they were saying he couldn't call a timeout and then challenge, but the refs were telling him if you challenge and you lose, you're going to lose another timeout. So that's going to cost you 2 timeouts. And they were down and they needed all their timeouts or most of their timeouts for the rest of the game. And so kind of a mistake not knowing the rules or whatever by McVay, which kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, I think they would have won that challenge because he was definitely going to challenge more for the spot than the catch. But
Yeah.
I guess you kind of gave your thoughts on the catch, but did you think he was short at all or?
I mean, yeah, live time, I thought he was short. On replays, it looked like he was short. But yeah, it was a little bit confusing, like you were saying, that McVay didn't necessarily know that rule. It's almost like the basketball thing where like you have to call a timeout to get a challenge kind of thing. Or
Yeah.
they maybe like charge you a timeout right away to get the challenge in. But yeah, I definitely thought he was short. Just looking at it live, and I thought they were going to get a stop there. But unfortunately they didn't even look at it, right? If I'm not mistaken. They didn't
Yeah,
go to
no.
review at all.
No,
So, yeah, I
nothing.
just kind of, I don't think it was a huge turning point. I think it was close enough to where you're, I guess, okay with it. But, just another one of those things where, it's 50-50, could go either way. I just feel like the whether or not it was a catch element added on to it as well. But I don't know. Maybe that wasn't as serious as I kind of thought it was in real time either. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but like huge play by Cooper Kupp, like that was one thing I didn't think people were talking about a whole lot, but like I mean, obviously the Rams being his former team, them kind of shipping him off, kind of thinking like he's run all that he had that was in the tank left. Like he
He's
hasn't
been
been like
good in the
world.
playoffs too,
He's
dude.
been good in the playoffs. Like I was gonna say, his regular season he was hurt.
Yeah.
Hasn't been like a world stopper, but that happens when you get older. He's just so savvy like
Mm,
just knowing where to be, like what routes to run, because like he's definitely one of those players that definitely has a lot of option routes, knowing which ones he wants
yeah.
to run, what the defense is giving him.
Just a
So
great
I
slot
think
guy.
he's probably like helped JSN like so much just being in that wide receiver room, like
Yeah.
all his experience. I mean, let's not forget this dude won Super Bowl MVP. Freaking, he didn't win MVP that season, did he? He was Offensive Player of the
No,
Year
no, no.
and
Yeah.
he won the triple crown. Some are saying
Yeah.
he even won like the quadruple crown because he even had the most yards after catch too, which I don't think is what they actually
Oh,
count. But he
interesting.
was on another level that season and
Dude, he
definitely
was
was the reason they won the Super Bowl. But
kind of came out of nowhere. Like I don't think I knew about him before that season.
right,
But it's
right,
it's it's a cool story for him too, because
mm-hmm.
Rams. I don't think they disrespected him or anything on the way out, but they obviously wanted to shift to Puka being the number one, and they didn't
Mm-hmm.
really want to pay Cooper. And so Cooper's like, well, okay, I'm just gonna go home to Seattle. He still got a bag, like 3 years, 45, 50 mil.
Yeah,
And he's able to get those boys in the bowl and against your former team too. That's got to be
yeah,
pretty sweet for him.
absolutely, absolutely. This was a great, all in all, this was a great like QB battle too.
Oh,
Like
for
the
sure.
offenses were just humming,
We
like
sorry.
crazy. No, go ahead. I was kind of done there, but that was just crazy. I love this
Well,
game. It's
yeah.
fun.
Well, we haven't even touched on it yet, but Sam Darnold's been avenging ghosts this whole playoffs, and I think the
Absolutely.
ghosts were still there against the Rams. Like his 4 or 5 interception game against them, in the regular season, still didn't perform well against them. And the second time they played either,
Hmm.
throwing for 350 and 3 tuds. I mean, he was dealing for sure. So he was
He was
he was doing very, very well. So great stuff for him too. That's got to feel good going into the Super Bowl off a performance like that, rather than your team winning despite of you instead of because of you, which is definitely the case here.
right. So do you believe this vindicates him? Like, do you think this
Oh, for
kind of
sure.
gets like that narrative off his back from now on?
I
Like you
think it
said,
has
they
to. I
won
mean,
because of him. Like,
yeah. I mean, obviously he's had his bumps this season, but overall, like you can't. He may not be the elite of the lead at this point, but I think it
mm,
definitely he's at a point now where you can say he's top. I don't know what's maybe 10 in the league, I would say.
I'd say 10. Yeah.
So like I think it definitely vindicates him from his just his reputation. He had obviously led the Vikings to 14 wins last year as well, but kind of fell apart
How
in that
stupid do
playoff
they look
game.
right now?
Yeah, dude.
That's gotta hurt.
I didn't know if you wanted to go there or not, but That's an all-time fumble right there, dude. Like,
It's
terrible.
gotta be.
But
It's gotta
good
be,
for
man.
Sammy.
Like, you had him in the building, and I understand, like, the big knock was, like, in big spots, especially, like, against the Lions end of season last year to fumble the number 1 seed, just did not play well. The team
Yeah,
didn't play well as a whole, and the Lions were super good, like, stupid good last year. And then you meet the Rams in the playoffs because you missed the number 1 seed and then end up giving that game away as well.
for
Like, I
sure.
can understand that, but the dude just, like, you were on the precipice of being the number 1 seed. He just won 14 games, like, for the first time in a long time as the Vikings franchise, and you're just like, "Yeah, we're gonna go with JJ because we just think the price tag on you is a little too high."
Yeah.
Like, I don't
And I
know,
get
man.
they drafted JJ in the first round and all that, but, like, at the same time, like, if that's one of the reasons that you're using to play him, it's like, I could make a case that JJ went too high in that draft too, so it's like, you know,
Yeah.
I just think it's insane to me. Like, the man wins you again 14 games, and
Yeah.
it's one bad game in the playoffs, and you get rid of him. I just think is super disrespectful. Like, I think that's a bad look on Kevin O'Connell as well. Like, obviously
Yeah.
he kind of a quarterback whisperer kind of vibe thing, but JJ's looked awful all year, and giving away Sam Darnold, it's just that's not a great look overall. We were talking about our boy Jared, and he was saying that KOC's tinkering a little bit too much, not to get off the rabbit trail a little bit too much here, but tinkering a
Yeah, let's
little
get
bit
into
too much
this.
with that Vikings situation, I guess. But
Yeah, he definitely was. And to add insult to injury, another team at the beginning, like even at the beginning of the season that everyone was high on and even said, I mean, they were capable of making the Super Bowl before they had their injuries, but Indianapolis with Daniel Jones, you had him in the building as well. That's a
correct.
little different because he didn't play at all. You didn't
I
know
think
what he
Sam
was.
Darnold's way better than Daniel Jones, to be honest, though.
Really,
Just
you
like
believe in?
his peak,
I
like
would
his
agree. Yeah,
ceiling,
I would
what he's
agree.
shown is higher than Darnold. Because
Yeah.
Daniel Jones, as good as he was playing, I still felt like he was a little bit game managery, and it's Sam Darnold is as
Mm,
well.
yeah.
But I just feel like Sam Darnold has a little bit more elevation in him than Dan Jones does. But yeah, point well made that they had both of them,
Both.
got rid of both, went with
Yeah.
JJ, and he's terrible. Like, you at
Yeah,
least
and
keep one, right? Like,
right,
I
right.
don't know,
Keep
man.
one in the building, like, and like I kind of said, like, hindsight's 2020, like always. Like, you can
Yeah,
always look back and be
right.
like, I could have done that better. Um, like with Daniel Jones, it's like, okay, we brought him in. He had just got let go by the Giants. He didn't play. We only saw him like in practices and stuff. But you had Sam Darnold who, like, through the course of a season, sure, it was one season,
Yes.
but like he showed you he can win you 14 games. So just I would have kept him and, like, let's progress here. Like, this was one season, didn't do that well in the playoffs. What do we need to do better? Let's run it back. Let's just try it again. But like you
Yeah.
said, they drafted JJ really high and were kind of married to the idea of
And
developing him into the franchise. So
and to be fair to the Vikings too, like, Daniel Jones was still a walking meme up until the first few weeks of this season. Even despite the fact that
right.
he went to Indy and he was going to be the starter, everybody was kind of making jokes about Indy, about the fact that they had him, and that, he's going to suck there. He's going to be terrible. Like, all the,
Right.
he was on the Vikings, but he was a backup. Like, no one thought that he was going to be good. So the fact that he kind of caught lightning in a bottle there and was doing really good, I don't think anyone foresaw that. So I guess
No.
two sides of the coin there. But last thing that we'll
Yeah.
touch on before we go over to the AFC Championship, Stafford. Rumblings here, but I don't think anything too loud that he might hang it up after this year. Do you think that he does hang it up, and do you want to see that, or do we want some more Matt Stafford ball
I,
games next year?
I mean, I'm here for more Matty Stafford. Like, if he wants to play until he's 42, I will take it. I don't know how his body's gonna hold up because, like, what's super weird is he had that back issue at the beginning of the season. I think we were on the podcast, like, it made the podcast,
Yeah,
and we were talking about,
for
like,
sure.
is he gonna be all
We
right?
haven't
Like, who are they gonna
we haven't heard
start? Like,
anything about that all year.
nothing about the back. Nothing. He looked fine. Looked the best he's been in a while. MVP
Yeah.
season, obviously. You know, I don't have the stats pulled up, but he's got like 40 plus touchdowns with like only like 9 interceptions on the season, balled out in the conference championship game, lost to a really, really good Seahawks team. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you can't like hang head super low after this game if you're the Rams. Like, you played a really, really, really good game and you lost to a really, really good team. And so I don't think he retires. I think he might sign like a 1 or 2 year deal and kind of like
Probably
feel it
2.
out from there.
Is
But
his
I mean,
contract up this year?
yeah, I only signed a 1-year deal. Like, I think we were talking off pod about this past offseason where he was kind of like testing in quotes the waters, but he was really just doing that to try to push the Rams' hand to like restructure another deal. And he signed for 1 year, got the money he wanted, but after this season, like he's gonna be really expensive after this season. And the thing is like he's like one of the last, like him and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, kind of Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones and Darnold are athletic. Like they're like the in between. But you got Aaron Rodgers and Matthew Stafford, who are true pocket quarterbacks. Like, as long as he's not taking hits, he's been fairly healthy. But his years in Detroit, he was getting beat up a lot. So it's kind of surprising that he's made it this far. But he's playing at an elite level, and he's still in that top. I don't know. I'd put him in like what, top 7 quarterbacks still in the league right now.
Yeah, I would say he's top 5.
I mean,
for
this
sure.
season, number
now.
1, like
Yeah.
make a case for number 1. But what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I think he's going to come back, barring any kind of like, bodily thing. I think his love for the game is still there. Obviously, he's more than likely going to be the MVP this season. Over 4,700 yards, 45 plus touchdowns. Like, I think it would have been a little bit different if maybe he went to the Super Bowl, won, and he like if you could go out on an MVP and another Super Bowl to get you to 2, like that's a pretty sweet way to go out. But no, he's still dealing. Again, like I said, if barring an injury or some kind of bodily thing, I think he comes back. It is a little bit surprising, like you were saying, that he's lasted this long just because of all those years in Detroit. I thought he, like several years ago, like when he went to the Rams, I was thinking maybe more of a Drew Brees situation where he retires at like 33, 34 kind of thing. But the fact that he's lasted this long and he's still able to squeeze out seasons like this where he's going to be MVP and the best quarterback in the league this season is just
better be
stupid impressive. So, I think he definitely comes. I mean, the Rams were, one of the 2 or 3 top teams really all year as far as favorites to win the Super Bowl. So, and like you said, lost to a really, really good Seahawks team by 4 points. So, it's right there for him. I think most of their other skill guys are under contract. So why would you not run it back?
Yeah, absolutely. And you go into this offseason and next season with the understanding that the Rams are going to draft a quarterback. Like they got to start.
They have 2 first rounders, so
yeah, they have to go quarterback because I mean, you don't know. I mean, he's older, so it just takes like one significant injury to really like end his career at this point. I mean, yeah, the back wasn't an issue during the season, but like, who says that doesn't pop up again? And these older quarterbacks, like, not saying like he's kind of aging like fine wine, but like at the same time, you never know with a quarterback. Like, you can have like a really great season, and then next season it's just like night and day. Like, the drop off just starts happening, and you're not as good as you were the season before. So, I mean, if you're the Rams and if you're Stafford, like, even if you sign, you're just on the same page knowing like, hey, we got to find the guy that's coming after you. So like, we're going to first round, we're drafting quarterback, and, both parties just have to be all right with that. And, Stafford knows that. So I think it won't be like an Aaron Rodgers thing with the Steelers, which is so frustrating to me. But like, we didn't take Jackson Dart, or we didn't like, as much as we're going to kind of like bash on Shador a little later, but like, we didn't even take Shador because there was probably some handshake deal. Like, you can't be taking a quarterback that high if you're going to be signing me. Otherwise I'm not coming. So like,
which I mean, I get, but like, all right, I'm 40 years old. Like, let's draft some guys that can contribute now instead of,
Exactly.
But then if you're Pittsburgh, should you be hitching your wagon to a 40-year-old quarterback instead of drafting Jackson Dart and developing him?
The answer is no. Just like we shouldn't be hitching our wagon to a 62-year-old freaking head coach. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that after this Pats and Broncos game. But anyways, getting heated already. Got to save it for later.
Yeah, moving on over to the AFC. Pats and Broncos, baby. Pat's going up against the backup,
Barn burner.
Jared Stidham. Auburn
Yee.
grad, goes by Stiddy. I've seen a lot of shirts and a lot of signs about the whole Stiddy stuff. I was getting pretty amped for that, but looked great. First drive, rest of it not so great.
So much
Early
hope.
touchdown looked really great on that deep ball, and obviously the touchdown in the corner of the end zone. Seemed like we might have a game on our hands, but it was pretty pathetic from there on out. Stidham not able to really get anything going. Had a terrible was it a two-hand basketball pass backwards where he basically handed the Patriots a touchdown there.
Yeah.
Tough look for him. Like I said, just really struggling. The storm coming in definitely did not help anything as far as his play is concerned either. And Patriots kind of settle in, kick a field goal, and basically play defense for the rest of the game amidst the storm.
Yeah, I think the Storm played more defense than anybody. I'm the Broncos or Patriots included. That's not a shot at the Patriots. But yeah, I think we all had high hopes for Stiddy. Like, obviously, the limited tape that he had, it was like, all right, this guy can ball a little bit. Like,
A little bit of
you
an
know,
athlete.
a little bit of an athlete, which we did not see at all. And that first drive was a little bit of, was it the first drive? It was like the first or second drive in the game. It was a little bit of a
It
facade
might have been the second drive.
from the Broncos. Obviously had that bomb down the field to get them in the red zone, and then they ended up scoring, which,
I think you're right. I think it was the second drive because the
yeah, I
first
was
one I
trying
think
to,
he went 0 for 3 and was like didn't do very good.
yeah, it
So
did not look good at
yeah,
first.
right.
And then, yeah, there's like holy crap. I'm looking at the play-by-play, like, it's saying 6 yards, 0-0, 52-yard pass to get him into the red zone on the second drive. But yeah, I mean, I had high hopes after that. And honestly, like, looking back, like, if the storm did not take the turn that it did, the Broncos would have been able to have a few more of those go routes, and I think it would have made it a little more interesting. But like, it was really like one half of football, and then after that, it was just like, all right, don't fumble the ball. All we got to do is run for both teams. Like, both teams could not get anything going. Obviously, the Patriots defense has come up big in the playoffs. They have looked really, really, really good. Broncos defense really, really good as well. But it just came down to, and you even called it. You texted me right when it happened, but probably the biggest moment of the game.
Bro.
4th and 1 down in the red
Why?
zone, and we, instead of kicking a field goal, Broncos decide to go for it. And the play call was super weird. Like, you got a
So
backup quarterback. I get
stupid,
Stiddy can
bro.
move, but like, we're rolling him out, and the play was broken from the very beginning.
Well,
Like, they almost intercepted it. Like, it was almost a
yeah,
turnover. I mean, it was a
right.
turnover on downs either way, but just
I
ridiculous,
mean,
man.
was that
Bad
your
coaching.
best? Yeah, your best play call for a 4th down with a backup QB was that. But no, I don't think that. Obviously, I feel like most people are kind of on this of this opinion anyway. But that play should have never happened. They should have just kicked a field goal there. Like everybody's obsessed with these analytics now and 4th and 1s and all this stuff. Like, I understand if you've got, if you got your starting quarterback, if you're at like the 45, 50-yard line, whatever, it's kind of in a no man's land. You want to go for it early to make a statement when you're up 7. But you don't go for it when you're on the 20-yard line. You know
Yeah.
that points are going to be at a premium. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you got a backup quarterback there. Go up 2 scores. Alleviate some of the pressure off of your backup and off your offense. Which, again, that's not their strong suit anyways. Their offense. They've kind of they scrape by. Bo Nix does
Mm-hmm.
some stuff in the 4th quarter. That's how they won most of their games this year. And like, somebody made a point of this, I think maybe on Twitter or something like that. But like, most coaches like know what the weather forecast is going to be. Like, maybe he didn't know the severity of the winter storm coming in, but you got to know that there's snow coming in. Just kick the field goal, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I knew immediately that was going to come back because, like, what did I say in the Bills game when they passed up that field goal? I was like, that's going to come back to bite them. Obviously, there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot more that happened between that field goal and the end of the game, which wasn't necessarily the case here as far as like points on the board, but they still lost by 3 points. The Bills did.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I saw them not go for it there, I was like, that's going to be it. Like, I just knew it. Ended up being that was the case, but yeah, tough look, man, especially for a guy like Peyton who's been around for so long. Just kind of buying into the analytics, or maybe it was just a gut decision. There was a tough look for the old Broncos.
Yeah, it is bad. I mean, Sean Payton's offensive coach, known for being aggressive, but just got to weigh the pros and cons. Definitely in a game that of this magnitude, like a game to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know if I said it on the podcast last week or off pod, but honestly, I'm not super upset that the Patriots made it, just for the fact that like I really would have hated to see the Broncos in the Super Bowl against either the Rams or the Seahawks at that point with a backup quarterback. Like, it's one thing to be playing in the conference championship game with a backup quarterback. Like, good for you. Glad you made it this far. But like, I mean, I think the
You don't
better
want more
game
Nick
was the Patriots.
Foles?
That would have been sweet. Like, I mean, if Stiddy came out and threw for like 250 and had like a couple touchdown passes and like balled out and they beat them like handily, or not handily, but like he was like a bigger reason that they want to be like, oh sure, like a little more Stiddy, like let's see what Stiddy can do in the Super Bowl. But like if they had found a way to win with how Stiddy played in this game, I would have been like, all right, like Super Bowl is kind of like, what are we doing? Because as good as the Patriots defense is, it's nothing close to what Seattle's defense is. And I think it would have just been
Yeah.
wraps from the beginning if it was the Broncos in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Moving on to the Patriots side, Drake May, a little bit of a stinker of a game here, and everybody's going to talk about the winter storm rolling in and everything, and that was the reason for his abysmal 86 yards on the day. He technically got outplayed by Jarrett Stidham, but we're not going to talk
Technically.
about that. But Drake May, I mean, even when the weather was nice, he wasn't having a great day throwing the ball. But what do you got to say about his performance? Obviously, really at no point in the playoffs have they won because of his play. He's got a couple interceptions, like 5 or 6 fumbles at this point. Yeah, just not a great day for him once again. I think if they're going to want a chance to beat the Seahawks in the playoffs, he's going to have to find even an ounce of his form that he was showing in the regular season to play a little bit better to give them a chance to win it.
Yeah. I mean, he'll play better just based on the fact that, like, obviously the snowstorm had an effect, but he really hasn't been super great in these playoffs. Like,
He hasn't been even close to great.
I mean, it's really just been their defense
Terrible,
up to this
dude.
point. Like in the regular season, he's played super well, but like you can point to their schedule being the reason that he's played at an MVP clip. They're gonna need something out of him in the Super Bowl, because if this is the Drake May that they get in the Super Bowl, it's kind of wraps at this point, because that Seahawks defense is, I mean, I know the Broncos had a really good defense, but they're out of this world, the Seahawks
Well,
defense. And I mean, they're going to have their way with that offensive line if they can't protect Drake May.
yeah. Well, I'll get into this point in a little bit, but I think the difference between the Seahawks and the 3 teams that they've played in the playoffs is the Chargers have an okay defense. Texans and Broncos both have, top 5 to 7 defenses in the league. Is that the Seahawks actually have an offense? And, as
Yeah.
long as Darnold doesn't throw picks like 4 times or whatever, like he did it in that Rams game, they're going to have a lot more to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
offensively. Like they're not going to be winning games 16-3 and 10-7 like they did in the playoffs this year. So didn't mean to interrupt you though.
No, you're good. Yeah, I mean, Seahawks are just going to be, they're just a totally different animal altogether. Um, the way Darnold's playing is super, super crazy. Um, yeah, I just can't get over their defense. It's really going to come down to the defenses. Like, if the Patriots can get to Darnold and start turning him into the Darnold that we've known in the past, they'll have a chance. And I think they have more than just a chance. Like, I'm not sitting here thinking it's David versus Goliath. Like, I actually think the Patriots are actually a really, really good football team, but I just think the Seahawks are just, they're an elite team. And it's really just going to come down to coaching and quarterback play and whose defense is playing the best that day.
Yeah, I think one of the difference makers too is Vrabel. I think he is
Yeah.
absolutely a needle mover as far like he knows so much about like just the ins and outs and those little tweaks like here and there, or just like
Mhm.
little loopholes in the um in the rules or just being aware of situations. Like, I think it was at the end of it was at the end of the first half when he's like yelling at May to go down with like 2 or 3 seconds left, and he's already right there next to the ref, like calling for timeout basically as he's telling his quarterback to get down. Like, because obviously May, young QB, he's probably just trying to get to the sideline as fast as he can to try to get, try to stop the clock, because I don't think they had any. They did have a timeout. I'm stupid. I just said that they had a timeout. But telling his quarterback to go down there because he knew he wasn't going to get to the sideline, and then also having the presence of mind to like calling a timeout to the ref like as he's going down is just. I feel like that's next level. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, this guy, like, Titans messed up when they let him out of the building for sure. So,
Definitely.
stuff like that is you don't see that in coaches every day. Like, guys like, I don't know. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus necessarily out of coaches, but you don't see that in most coaches in the NFL these days. So I was about to say Sean McDermott, but I think he's a fine coach. So Big Mike, I don't know. Big Mike would have been like, "Oh, is it third down?"
Yeah, seriously. No, just the awareness from Vrabel on that play. Like, I mean, yes, Drake May has been good. And yes, Josh McDaniel. Wow, I can't say that name. Josh McDaniels has been a pivotal part in his development. But dude, Vrabel is the reason that they're this good. Like, I mean, even if they had Josh McDaniels last season, with Gerard Mayo, like, there's no way they're this good. Vrabel just came in, changed the culture, and it's those little
Gerard
things
Mayo,
like you were saying.
He ain't doing that. That's a great example. No. He's not doing any of
that. But like that's just, and just like he was coached under Bill Belichick, who was like so detail oriented, and like, I mean, you hear stories all the time that they in practice every week they were practicing these like crazy situational plays just in case they were in those moments, like just being so prepared down to the minute details, and just to have the awareness, like, oh shoot, he's not going to get out of bounds with time on the clock. He needs to slide, go down, and I need to be at the ref just hammering timeout. And even afterwards, because the clock hit zeros, and he was just like, he's like, no, I called that in time. You better give us, and just, yeah.
Well, the broadcasters,
Vrabel's
not. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say Vrabel's the biggest piece to this Super Bowl run, and he is a big reason that if they win, he will be a big reason, because he is the only, other than like Josh McDaniels, like he's the only one that has like that championship pedigree playing, or like just being around it. I almost said coaching, but he hasn't been there as a coach, but like the pedigree of being at a Super Bowl and knowing what it's about and the details that are going to win the game.
Yeah, I totally agree. And not to like belabor this one play that much, but in real time, when Drake May goes down, you see zeros, you're like, oh, they're cooked. They went down to zero, whatever. And then you see on the replay, not just Vrabel telling May to go down, but like you see him like calling timeout with next to the ref the whole time. Just genius play by old Mikey Braves there.
Yeah. See, we don't hate everything about the Patriots.
Yeah, but I'm about to hate on them a little bit here.
All right, here we go. So. Let's crap on them.
No, I think that their defense.
Peter, plug your ears.
Yeah, we have more people that listen to the podcast except Peter, so we're not.
Yeah, but Peter's the one that doesn't like when we talk this way. But anyways, continue.
I think the Patriots defense is obviously very solid, and I think it's the reason that they've won these playoff games. And I also think May is going to be good for a while, but like, I'm so tired of like everybody acting like the Patriots are like the second coming of the dynasty or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And I know that this, like, we've talked about it on here and it's kind of played out at this point, but their schedule plus playoff run has been like one of the easiest, like most like Mickey Mouse things I've ever seen. To reiterate one of your commenters on your Instagram post. But like, obviously the schedule in the regular season, like, that's one thing. I'm not as mad about that. Like, as Patriots fans would say, like, you only play who's in front of you. Everybody's an NFL team, yada, yada. I can get on board with that. You played a fourth place schedule in your division. All that is fine. But like the amount of luck that they've had in these playoffs, like again, I think their defense is legit for sure. And I think they come in big against like the offenses that they've played, but like there is no denying that the offenses they've played, like there's been severe flaws. And it's not just like, okay, you get past the Chargers, they're whatever, and then they'll play a legit team next week, or like a team that's like is stacked like to the core with guys like for
Mhm.
example in the NFC when you've got like this insane game in the other NFC championship game um where like but again back to the Patriots, like it's just game after game, like you face Chargers with no offensive line where every lineman is last in PFF and it's just Herbert on the ground every other play. And then you face the Texans where Stroud just giving you the ball every single other possession, basically. And then
Mhm.
you play a Broncos squad with a backup quarterback who like can't really do anything because he hasn't thrown a pass. So I struggle when I see commentators on ESPN being like, "Oh, what a turnaround all the way to the Super Bowl," and like, "Oh, their defense is one of the best we've seen," and all times like their defense is good too, but like at the same time they're playing these awful defenses or these awful offenses that are just like,
Mhm.
bro, like a lot of defenses would look good going against these offenses that just they're they're pathetic. They're completely relying on their defense to get
Mhm.
them into these games. And again, the Broncos game would have been a good game if Bo Nix didn't go down. Completely kind
Mhm.
of changes their game plan as well. But I'm just saying, I don't think, and their offenses look terrible. Like we've talked about May, and I think again, I was kind of almost on the not the bandwagon of May, but like I was like he's going to be really good for a long time in this league. But then he just like you know any other team putting up 16-10 in playoff games is losing. Like
Mhm.
I think in the divisional round or in the wild card round, every other team that won put up way more than 16 points. So the fact that he can only have 80 yards in the air and then fumble 5 times in another game and still win, like any other quarterback, is not doing that. Like you got Stafford on the other side in the NFC Championship throwing for 350 and 3 tuds and losing.
Mhm.
So, I think, like I said, the Pats, it's not their fault. It's, they play who's in front of them kind of thing. But I just wish people would pump the brakes on like this being an all-time team and they're so much better than everyone else and all
Mhm.
this stuff when like in actuality, like I feel like if you copy and paste a lot of other teams into the Patriots situation, they would probably make the Super Bowl. So that's my gripe and my, if you want to call it hate, you can call it hate. But again, I think the
Yeah.
defense is legit. Do I think it's all time one of the best in the league? No. And I think that the offense has holes, which obviously it's normal for them to have, but I just wish they would stop acting like they're the best thing since sliced bread. But again, it's your Patriots or fans are something else. And obviously their team's in the Super Bowl, so they get to do whatever they want. So
They get to do what they want, yeah. And that's I think that's where I'll kinda hammer down is, like, what's gonna be annoying is if they lose the Super Bowl, there is a excuse in the chamber already, like, "Oh, we're so ahead of schedule," like,
yeah.
"Yeah, sure, we lost, but, like, oh, we're gonna be
That's my
so
problem. You
good, this,
can't
that."
have it both ways. Like
Yeah,
you're either the
yeah,
best
like
team in the league or you're ahead of schedule. Like, I don't know.
yeah, exactly. Like that's just what I want. Like that's what I'm gonna be so annoyed at is they're gonna like this whole time they've been talking like we're amazing and like yeah, sure you're in the Super Bowl and you had to play the people ahead of you and yes, you played very like your defense played very well. Like you have a good team that was capable of making it to the Super Bowl in the circumstances that you had, but
Yeah.
you're acting like you said, you're acting like you're the second coming of the dynasty, but then as soon as, like, if they lose the Super Bowl, they're gonna say, "Well, we're ahead of schedule, we" you know, like, "Who expected us to be here?" And it's like, "Okay, so basically you're saying you got lucky." Basically, you're saying, like, that
Yeah.
this is not what was supposed to happen, even though all through the playoffs, we've been saying
And
this and you guys are adamant that you guys are just so good that you guys would have wrecked the Rams and the Seahawks twice if you had to play them. And it's like,
yeah.
no, no, you
And
didn't.
and I am persuadable. Like I really like as much as I hate the Patriots, if they had I'm not just fill in whatever team you want. I'm just going to say these teams because they've been at the top for a while. If you had to beat the Bills or the Ravens or the Chiefs in a shootout where it's just back and forth and May is dealing and you got Pat's guys intercepting the ball and getting on fumbles, like I would be so much more okay with this run and with what they've got going on. But when it's just cupcake after cupcake, and I understand the defense like argument too, where it's like, oh well, you said we didn't play anybody all year, and then we just played the number 5 defense and the number 3 defense and all this stuff. I was like, that's great, but your offense has still looked pitiful. And like the fact that the other team can't gain a yard on offense, yes, is in credit some part to the Patriots defense and them being good. I'll give them that. But when you see Stroud throwing for 4 or 5 picks and you see Stidham throwing a basketball pass backwards, that's not necessarily what I think of when I think, oh, they're a good offense. They're a playoff level offense. They're really shutting them down. And
Yeah.
like, people are going to say, oh, well, we forced them to do that and all that stuff. But like, you can't, I don't really buy that, first of all. And then like, the defense thing, yes, they have played very, very good defenses. But like in the NFL, you can't expect the defense, no matter how good they are, to stop them every single down with the offense giving you no help and like win the game.
Yeah.
So I just feel like you know, obviously their defense is stopping them and the offense is doing just barely enough to get by in these games. Again, 16 points, 10 points, got their quarterback fumbling all over the yard, throwing for 80 yards in a game. Like that's just, I feel like we could do better, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah. No,
that's
I totally
my
agree.
point.
Like everyone's harping on, and it's statistically a fact, but like they played 3 top 5 defenses. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But like the Chargers still held you guys to 16 points, but the Chargers offensive line couldn't stop a nosebleed.
Yeah.
And kind of like what you alluded to, playing top 5 defenses is one thing, but then also playing the teams that have like giant flaws on offense. Chargers O-line could not protect Herbert was talk about seeing ghosts. Herbert was seeing everything. That
Yeah.
friggin' everything but his wide receivers open.
And
Texans, yeah, sure, you scored 28 points, but Stroud was handing you the ball. And like
well,
if we had Drake May, the Steelers would have won against the Texans because they were giving
probably.
us the ball too, and but our
Yeah.
offense just couldn't do anything with it. And then obviously the Broncos held you to 10 points. And sure, it's the snowstorm, this, that, and the other, but their offense was already talked about as a weakness before Bo Nix even went down.
Yeah.
Like, sure, he
And
balled out against the Bills, but like it was still a weakness coming into the playoffs.
yeah, and the 28 points looks good against the Texans, but like some of that was a little bit of garbage timey towards the end there. And I feel like the Texans defense was just, they were so
Tired.
done. Yeah, they were exhausted. They were just done with getting stop after stop, forcing four or five fumbles or however much it was. And giving the ball back to their offense just to have to go back out after 3 plays after Stroud throws another pick. So,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. So
It is what it is, I guess. Yeah.
and the one of the guys on Barstool said it best. I saw one of my reels recently. It's like I have a lot less problems with this Patriots team than I did the dynasty team. Like I've said this
Yeah,
before a lot of times on the
absolutely.
podcast. I love Rabel. I want to like Drake May. I do like Drake May. I like Travion Henderson. I think Will Campbell's a dog, even though he's gotten dog walked this entire playoffs.
Yeah.
I do like pieces of this team, but it's just when everybody like media and otherwise, and maybe I'm just too sensitive to like media people and their fans want to act like they're the best team in the NFL. I just think that that's where the argument kind of falls apart and it just gets really obnoxious and annoying for me. So,
And you know what? If they win the Super Bowl, Sam and I will look really stupid and we will give you guys your flowers. I mean, again, I think you have more than a fighting chance, but like you're going against the best team in the NFL and you guys can take second and say we're the second best team coming to the Super Bowl, but like the NFC was loaded and the Seahawks are for real. But you know what? If you guys end up winning the Super Bowl, that will be the ultimate like in your face moment because like yeah, there's nothing left to do. You just beat the best team in the NFL and you won
Imagine
the Super Bowl
Darnold just
because of it.
reverts to Jets Darnold and just
Oh my
poops
goodness.
the game away.
Yeah, that would suck. That would suck. I'm hoping for a good Super Bowl, but yeah, it's it is what it is. And like kind of just to quickly and lastly echo what you said, I like this team a whole lot more than the dynasty. Like I find it kind of easier to kind of root for this team a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like I like Drake May, I like Vrabel. You know, I think the biggest thing, I think we'll kind of touch on it when we talk Bill Belichick here in a little bit, but my biggest gripe was like whether it was true or not, which there was proven to be true, but you know, Spygate, Deflategate, like just the
Yeah,
cheating
bro.
and the scandals, like
Dude.
that just from the beginning rubbed me the wrong way. And the fact that they just kept winning after all these different allegations and different things that were proven to be true as well. It's like
Little
how like you're taught all the time cheaters don't prosper, but for some reason they just kept doing it because one, they were good, but two, it's just like it just rubs you the wrong way. And that's
For
why
sure.
I didn't like them in the past, and their fans make it hard to like them now. So
Yeah, if they would wear their old school Pat the Patriot helmet all the time, I would like them a lot better. But little known fact, when little 8-year-old Sam was on his trek to find an NFL team to root for, Patriots were high on my list because
yeah,
one, I loved history and I loved like the
the
colonial
Patriots.
Patriots vibe and all that. And two, for whatever reason, we were up in that area and we actually visited Gillette Stadium. I want to say this was like
Really
2009, 10. So it
nice.
was kind of in the midst of their dynasty. So seeing their stadium, being up close to like a Lombardi, all that, I was ready to be bought in to be a Pats fan, believe it or not. But that's when I found out about Spygate and like, or I don't think Spygate had happened yet, but or which one was it? All the cheating stuff. And maybe I'm getting
Spygate was
the
the earliest one, yeah.
I'm getting the years wrong of when I was actually at Gillette. But then that's when I found out about all the cheating stuff, and I was like, I don't want to be the fan of a team that cheats.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
was basically like, nah, we going in a different direction.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
that's when my grandpa was watching all the Cowboys games, and here I
There you
am.
go. There you go.
15
And
years
now
of
you're in
pain
misery.
later.
Yep.
Yep.
Now you're
15
always
years of
just
pain.
misery.
So
I'm gearing up for 15 more years of us sucking too. It's been 9 so far, so just
hey, at
gotta
least
make
you've
it
seen
6
a
more.
Super Bowl, even though you were a little tyke, but
I was a little tight, but yeah, that's all right. It's all right.
I
Saw the Cardinals one. That was a good one to
yeah.
remember.
But
So
before we get into the coaching carousel, I think they flashed up on the screen sometime during the Patriots game, like the teams with the most Super Bowl trips, and it was like Pats, Steelers, I don't even know who else. And then Cowboys were up there with like 8 or 9, and I was
back in the
like,
day.
I pointed at Joy. I was like, look, we've got 8 trips to the Super Bowl, and not one of them is in my lifetime. And she just
Yeah, right.
laughed. I was like,
Yeah.
it's a tough go of it, but
It is a tough
it's
go,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, Patriots are good. I'm not here to say they're not. I'm not gonna say any of them were I mean, I'm not gonna say no Super Bowl, I would say, is illegitimate. It's just there's easier roads, and I guess that's what we just want people to realize. But um, before we get into coaching carousel too, you guys are kind of stuck with Jerry. He said he wants to be the owner with the most Super Bowls before he retires. You better get on that quick. I think he's like 6 behind or something like that.
I mean, we're always going to be stuck with Jerry. I mean, our best bet is that he dies in the next several years, which we don't wish upon anyone. But if you
No.
just want to give it to your son a little early, that would be great. But
Yeah,
no,
but when
they'd
I
never
saw
sell
that, I
him.
forgot to
So
send it to you, but I was just like, "Oof,
yeah,
he's not
that
going
quote's a
nowhere."
few weeks old now. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I rolled my eyes. I was like, oh my goodness.
Owners and managers and GMs. Speaking of them,
That's just a
we got some
wild
hiring.
quote. Sorry. That's just a
No,
wild
it's all right.
quote when you haven't sniffed an NFC championship
No,
in
it's so
30
long.
years
Yeah,
and you're more than 3 Super Bowls away from like the next franchise leading owner and
yeah,
you say that
yeah,
after your track record is just
yeah,
beyond stupid, but
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
he's
Down
been out
bad.
of touch for several years now, so
Yeah, our teams are down bad for sure, and maybe that's the root of our Patriots hate is our teams just have not been good in so long, and the
everybody hates
Patriots
the
have literally
Patriots, dude.
won a Super Bowl, had a dynasty, won a Super Bowl, rebuilt, and are back in the Super Bowl before either of
they
our
don't
teams
deserve
even
it.
touched a freaking AFC championship game. You're NFC, but a conference championship
Spoiled
game.
fan base, dude.
Yeah, just down bad. But moving on to some coaching carousels. We didn't talk much about this last week because, it went a little bit long because we had so much to recap with only 2 games this week. Still going long, but that's all right because it's NFL and we gotta squeeze as much as we can out of it before it's gone, and we have to wait a whole summer until the fall again. But something we didn't mention, obviously, it's no surprise, no news now. McDermott out, but they did hire Brady, not the Brady you're thinking of. I forget his first name. Joe Brady. I was gonna say Joe Brady, but I was like, that doesn't sound right. But Joe Brady is, I guess, technically being elevated.
Yeah.
Not really a hiring. Everyone's
OC.
saying hiring, but he was their OC under McDermott, and they are elevating him to head coach. My first initial thoughts on this: not good, not good. I didn't like it. I thought they should have gone. I didn't even like Dable, to be honest. I didn't even like that. I'm like, you just got to go new, somebody that's going to be there for a while, someone that's going to outlast Josh, hopefully, and maybe Brady will, because Brady's only 36, so he can coach for a while. But especially after you get rid of McDermott, like, let's go in a different direction. Like, we're just going to elevate a guy from his staff. And then after everything that you said in that press conference, we're going to bring the guy in that probably wanted Keon Coleman, like, to be honest, because McDermott was the defensive guy. So Joe Brady's the one in Bean's ear saying, like, hey, this is the guy we need on offense. And so, just to add insult to injury, they end up hiring Brady, and he'll be the new coach of the Bills. What were your initial reactions when you saw this news?
Yeah, I had 2. First one was holy lateral move. Just nothing new, nothing creative, nothing that freshens up anything. You might as well have just kept with McDermott if this was your big hire. But at the same time, I think kind of similar to what you were saying about some of the stuff that they said in the press conference. I think that was maybe twofold. Is like the stuff that they were saying in the conference and in the press conference was, one, not only throwing a player under the bus, and saying that is currently on your roster, by the way, and saying that he's not necessarily a bust, but not necessarily what he thought he was going to be, but also, also just kind of saying that I feel like it was just a toxic, ownership move to make in that press conference right there. And I feel like it made the job less enticing for others, even though it was like, oh, you're going to go coach Josh Allen. If you're really trying to, fight with this management, this is kind of what you're going to get. And I forget the second place I was going to go with that, but the fact that after saying all of that Joe Brady was the best thing that they could get out of that, like I said, they should have just stuck with McDermott, honestly. And I think Josh Allen really likes Joe Brady, which is fine. But, if you bring in a new coach, maybe you have to bring in a new OC as well. But, just really, really weird move, I think. And I feel like it doesn't really, really get them much of anywhere as well. But what did you think of the Keon Coleman comments? Obviously, for those of you who didn't see it, it was kind of just saying, oh, well, McDermott and his staff was responsible for, the the drafting of Keon Coleman, and it's kind of implying since he didn't work out, that's one of the reasons that we're firing him, kind of thing. Which is again a wild thing to say about a guy who's currently on your roster, and also just a crappy thing to say about someone who's given you so much of your, so many years of success there, despite the lack of Super Bowls. He's still been in the playoffs every single year, been really close to being in Super Bowls and things like that. Just like I said, a crappy thing to say, I think, about a guy who's giving you, and a lot of people are saying that McDermott and Allen may be, kind of, I guess, covering for the fact that they just have sucky ownership in Buffalo.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I had a lot of problems with the press conference, and it just sounded like a lot of like, hey, we got rid of the coach and we're just going to blame absolutely everything on him, while saying some super nice things about him.
And then hiring the number 2 man on that coaching
and then
staff.
exactly, which means at the end of the day, McDermott was a scapegoat for them not making Super Bowls, and they really didn't want to get rid of him. But at the end of the day, they felt like they needed to because they haven't gotten over the hump, which partly I can get on board with. But then you give me the reasons for why you think you should have gotten rid of him, and I'm just like, that makes zero sense. The biggest thing that didn't make sense to me, and I know I'm not quite answering your question, but in a way I am. The biggest thing that didn't make sense to me was he was saying, I fired Sean McDermott because Sean McDermott wasn't doing what we wanted him to do. And then later on in the press conference, they're like, well, why is McDermott gone? And he's like, because of a bad call. And so basically you're saying like you fired him because of a bad call, not because he's a bad coach. But at the same time, you're trying to pin all this other stuff like the Keon Coleman thing on him. And it's like, well, it really wasn't Sean McDermott's fault. Like you just need to absolutely pin everything on him, and also save Brandon Beane's butt because he's the guy that you actually not only kept but elevated, which is, I guess, basically the theme of their offseason is they're just going to keep and elevate everybody at this point. Now they got Joe Brady as their head coach, but I'm not that much of a Buffalo Bills fan, and so like I don't really have too much of a horse in the race. Obviously, we talk about it. I do like Josh Allen, and just from association living in New York, I do like the Bills. But I actually texted Jathan today to see how he felt. Jathan's one of our friends that he's a diehard Bills fan. He literally told me if they ever made the Super Bowl, he would sell like a kidney to go to it, and I don't think he's lying. But I texted him just to see what he thought. He said, I hated it at first, but giving it some thought, I find comfort in the fact that he's been getting interviews for a while and would have taken one of the jobs that's left, I think. So he's at least well thought of through the league. He's got to nail his DC. The offense will be good till
For
17 is
sure,
hurt or
dude.
retired. It's
I
been
agree.
the defense. And you know what? I totally agree with that. Keeping Joe Brady, all that means is you're going to have the same offense. You're going to have the same production out of Josh Allen, maybe a little bit more because he's going to have a little more autonomy of the offense to make it his own.
Yeah.
But if you don't get that defensive coordinator job right, it's going to be way worse because McDermott I think he was squeezing the most out of a really, really bad, roster and getting the most out of them. So,
well, just to build on my second thought that I originally said, I thought when I saw that they had hired Brady, was just the ownership, like backing Bean so hard and just being like, oh, Keon Coleman was the coaching staff. Even if that's true, it's still on Brandon Bean. Like they've had so many draft misses in the last 2 or 3 years. And obviously that's evident in the fact that the Bills roster outside of Josh Allen and James Cook is kind of pathetic. That's more of a reflection, of Bean than anything else. And the fact that he got to keep his job, McDermott's out kind of as the scapegoat, and Bean is now in charge of the new coaching search. I just felt like that kind of compounded in the fact that it just felt like nobody really wanted to go to Buffalo. Like they interviewed Phillip Rivers, I guess.
yeah.
I just felt like the ownership did a bang up job of making that job unattractive just in that one press conference alone, and then not firing Brandon Bean. But I agree with what Jathan said there. Like, Joe Brady is probably going to have some new things, some things here and there. His OC hiring is probably just going to be one of his guys because he's going to be running the offense anyway. But like he said, he has to nail the DC position and try to build something out of that. But Brandon Bean's also got to do a better job at drafting and kind of building a team that can go, because everyone's going to pin this playoff run on Josh Allen's like, oh, this was his opportunity to get there and all that stuff. And to some extent, yeah, that's true. And obviously he had a bad game when they went out, having several fumbles. But again, that team that was around him was not Super Bowl caliber or even winning the Super Bowl. Like, even if they got there out of the weak AFC, probably would have gotten slapped around by the Seahawks or the Rams if things would have turned out differently. So,
probably.
interesting stuff in Buffalo. We're kind of hung on that one for a little bit, but we're probably going to hang on to the next one a little bit too. Big Mike, baby, back in Pittsburgh, the place of his birth, the place that he grew up at. Big Mike McCarthy hired as the head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. on a 6.5 year. No, just kidding. It's not that long. I actually
Goodness,
don't even
no.
know how long it is, but he
I
is
don't
there
know
for the
either.
foreseeable future. Mr.
Yeah.
62-year-old. Obviously, we're used to the Pittsburgh Steelers going young coaches. They've only had, I think, 3 or 4 in their entire history, which is very, very impressive. But going in a different direction with old Mike McCarthy.
Yeah,
Let's hear it.
not good. Not good. Talking about the Joe Brady move being a lateral move. This is the lateral moves of all lateral moves. We're literally getting the Mike Tomlin, but he's just an offensive mind. That's what we're
Yeah.
getting.
Yeah.
He's not young. His ideas aren't new. He likes to run an offense that is the play style of literally like the 1800s or whatever. Like, dude, I don't know, man. When I saw that he was interviewing, we had some other people in the building, and I was hopeful about, but
Like
obviously
who?
didn't.
Like who?
Oh, I'm trying
Joe
to think.
Brady? Just kidding.
I don't even. Did Joe even? Joe did.
I don't think he interviewed.
He
Maybe
he
did.
didn't
I don't know.
interview for us, but he was interviewing for other jobs, which like Jathan said is good. But I think Mike McCarthy interviewed for like 2 other jobs. Like he's not thought of very highly in the league. I know our ownership really, really wants to win now, and that's the thing. He will win now, but he's gonna keep us in the same mediocrity. And I hope again all this negativity I'm about to spill out, I hope I am wrong. I hope he comes in.
You're always
And
negative when it comes to the Steelers. Let's be honest.
I really am. I keep my expectations low, so it's easy to exceed them. That's what I do. But I mean, this probably means we get one more year of Rodgers, and we try to. Some people are tying Ty Simpson to us, which I'm not too high on him either.
Why not give Will Howard a shout if you're going to draft Ty Simpson?
I mean, this is what I was gonna say. Like, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope McCarthy comes in and we have a decent season with Rodgers. He gets to ride off into the sunset, and then Mike McCarthy like develops Will Howard into something, because that was the one thing that people are high on. Like Mike McCarthy is when it comes to developing quarterbacks, he's really, really good at that. He's got really, really bad game management issues that like have been highlighted in the past. Um, he had good seasons with the Cowboys. Like he had winning seasons, 12-win seasons, like
Absolutely.
3 12-win seasons right in a row. So like he's bringing winning. He's bringing confidence in knowing that he knows how to coach. I do like the fact that he is a Pittsburgh guy. Like he knows Pittsburgh. And he was getting super emotional in his press conference, kind of talking about being back. So like, that does fire you up a little bit, but at the end of the day, like we're trying to progress into the future. And when you're getting a coach that, is probably a bit past his prime, obviously past his prime when it comes to age, you know, it just doesn't feel like a step forward. It just feels like Mike Tomlin was kind of sick and tired, so he stepped down, and so we just replaced him with Mike Tomlin, but he's going to run the offense. And maybe that's what we need to kind of get ownership and our general manager to draft more offensive players, because we've been defensive heavy like for the longest time. But man, it's I mean, I might be one of the most pessimistic Steelers fans out there. I haven't seen a lot of people super hyped about it, but when I saw this, I'm gonna be honest, I was just not really excited about it. I was hoping we'd get even like, I would even take in like a Brian Daboll or something, just someone new and fresh and younger. And yeah, sure, he didn't do well with the Giants, but like an offensive mind like that, like someone that will like, like this newer offenses that we were seeing with motions and creativity and moving players around instead of like, I mean, I guess I'm happy that Arthur Smith's gone, but like now we got Mike Mike McCarthy who's gonna run the same stuff. So I don't know, man. It's hard to get excited when this is what we decide to do. I know we were a little late to the game, but out of everybody else we could have gotten, it's kind of frustrating.
This one came out of nowhere for me, honestly. I didn't even know he was interviewing to be anybody's coach, let alone Pittsburgh's. But like you were saying, definitely going, away from the grain as far as an ownership perspective goes. Like they're they want guys that are in their mid-30s that are going to be there for 20 years and
Yeah.
going to establish a franchise and all that stuff. They've kind of been just hiring defensive guys throughout, so it's definitely kind of going away from that. Obviously, hiring a guy that's 30 years older, offensive minded, which I think they needed. But I actually am a little bit more optimistic for a big Mike McCarthy. I don't think he's going to get you guys to the Super Bowl in year one or anything crazy like that.
Mhm.
But like you said, he's a quarterback developer. He's worked with some of the best quarterbacks in the league, from Brett Favre, obviously Rodgers, turned Rodgers really into what he is today. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the
Helped
NFL.
Dak out when he was with you
Helped.
guys.
That's what I was gonna say. Helped Dak out a ton. Like we were coming off Jason Garrett, who was off like the worst NFL coach probably ever. Um, but and then we obviously turned to McCarthy, and I was kind of just 50-50. And I was like, oh, that's better than Garrett, but felt like he was a little bit past his prime when it came to the Cowboys. Instantly developed Dak into a much better quarterback. 3 wins in a row, where it's 12-5, 12-5, 12-5. We had a good defense. We were in the playoffs, of course, kind of fell short in those games, disappointingly so. And some of his decision making in big spots, had you scratching your head a little bit, but I think he's still going to be a good coach. He's had, a year out of the league now to just kind of study up, and he's been on the Pat McAfee show all year this year. And obviously they're going to rant and rave about him as any good show would, but they were saying that nobody came more prepared to the meetings and all that stuff. So that gives you a little bit of hope. And I do like the fact that he's going back home to Pittsburgh. I think those kind of stories are few and far in between now in professional sports. So I think that's really, really cool. But I would just say, I know it's hard to be excited about this hire, especially for how many, you know, seemingly home run hires were out there, but
Yeah.
I think he's going to work with Rodgers really well. Even though I thought I remembered them kind of being icy on their way
I thought
out
so
of
too.
Green
That's what
Bay,
I
but
remembered, but
I think I've heard Rodgers say nothing but good things about him since. So I would, if hiring McCarthy, I know it's at the expense of your franchise, but if hiring McCarthy at the Steelers gets one more year out of Rodgers, sign me up, man, just for that nostalgia. So. Um,
yeah.
Again, I don't think he's taking y'all to Super Bowl year one, or maybe not even year
Nah.
two, but I think you're probably going to be 11, 12 wins, get into the playoffs. But again, that's kind of where you've been for 10
Mhm.
years now. So I
Yeah.
get the pessimism for sure, but
Yeah. The only
I
way that
like
this
it.
works out in year one is if we get a playoff win to kind of break that streak, and
True.
that'll be the up and up that we need. Like if we have another season like this where we barely make the playoffs and it takes a Tyler Loop missed field goal at the end of regulation to get us there, and we get absolutely manhandled by the freaking Houston Texans, like that's gonna be rough. Not saying they're gonna fire him after year one. They're gonna give him
Yeah.
time because we're the Steelers. We give all of our coaches time,
Yeah.
but they want to keep winning, and that's why they hired him. I mean, they said it in the press conference after they
Yep.
got rid of Tomlin. They were like, "We're gonna find a guy. We're not taking a year off to be bad and then be good in the years after that." Like he's like, it's Super Bowl or bust, and it's like, well, we're a ways away from that, but
Yeah.
all right, you do you, Rooney.
And his reputation kind of confused me a little bit, because really all he's done is win, like 12, 13, 14 wins every year in Green Bay. Same on the Cowboys. He has a Super Bowl, granted it was a long time ago. But
Mhm.
if Tomlin is held in such esteem, in NFL circles, I don't really understand why McCarthy would be even different. He's technically won a Super Bowl, more recently than Tomlin has. So,
Yeah.
definitely a little bit of an interesting thing there. But obviously, a lot of people are going to talk about the you know, the playoff mistakes and the
Mhm.
head scratchers for late game management. But yeah, a couple other teams that signed head coaches this past week and a half, 2 weeks. John Harbaugh going to the New York Giants, pretty big deal there. Stefanski to the Falcons. Titans hiring Robert Saleh, which is a little bit surprising as far as I'm concerned. And then Brian Daboll also joining as their offensive coordinator. What do you got to say about these three franchises here and their hires, and what do you think about them overall?
Yeah, I think Harbaugh is a great signing for the Giants. Obviously, he was the biggest name in the cycle this time around, so they were able to get him done pretty quickly. He's going to a storied franchise. That's another one where he's got. I mean, he's going to bring guys from the Ravens for sure. But you got to get the OC right, and whoever's going to work with Jackson Dart, because he's. I got this wrong, and I was getting kind of flamed on TikTok when I posted this. So apparently, Harbaugh's more of a I forgot what they were saying. I think I called him a defensive coach, and he's not that. He wasn't technically a defensive coach. He was
Oh,
he was
really?
special teams. Whatever. He's not an
Whatever.
offensive minded. He's not an offensive minded coach, is what I was trying to say when I got ripped for that TikTok I made.
They'll rip
But
you for anything, dude.
yeah, they will. But I think it's a great hire as long as he gets the OC right and as long as they develop Dart, they'll be fine. And I think this is kind of like a Vrabel situation where him alone's going to add wins. Just having a competent coach in New York is going to help them out. Stefanski, I thought it was kind of wild that he went to the Falcons. I know you're higher on the Falcons than I am with like the weapons they have. I think
Yeah.
Matt Ryan probably had something to do because I know he left CBS and he's taking some
Yep.
sort of role with the Falcons. So that was probably
President of
some.
football operations.
There you go. I think that probably helped a lot. He probably was on the phone with Stefanski right away because he was probably the second best coach in this cycle.
Well, you
But
might
good for the
be.
Falcons. We'll see who they run with their quarterback. And then this kind of slept on. I think Robert Saleh is a better coach than who does well with the Jets. Who does well with the Jets?
True.
Like Jets
True.
haven't been good since they had Rex Ryan and freaking Sanchez. Like it's been so long since the Jets have been relevant, and ever since those years with them when they were making AFC championship games, other than that, it's been downhill from there. Aaron Glenn literally had one of the worst defenses, and he's a defensive coach. Surprised they didn't get rid of him for somebody else. But hiring Dayball, I think, is huge because we know what he did with Josh Allen and developing him into the quarterback that he is. So he's going to help Cam Ward out a ton. I didn't know, I didn't see if it was confirmed, but I know it was contingent on if he got the Raiders head coaching job or not. Is it
Yeah, I
confirmed
did
that
see
he
that as
is?
well. I don't know, but if I was me, I would take the Titans OC
Yes.
for the Raiders head
Yeah.
coach anyway.
Which I think the
But
Titans might be sneaky good next season. I mean, Robert Saleh had the Jets playing like that one season. They were like top 5 defense in the league. Like when Rodgers went down, they were like, shoot, if
yeah,
this defense can get them to the
right.
playoffs, then freaking Rodgers comes back and they have a shot at this. But I think the defense will be good. And then with Dayball as their OC and Cam Ward, I think obviously you can't get worse than last season. So
Yeah.
it'll be
Yeah,
interesting.
for sure. Going back to Harbaugh to the Giants, I'm a little skeptical of that just because obviously there's no doubting that Harbaugh's a great coach. Um, I haven't followed him super closely over the years just because he's Ravens and I don't really care about the Ravens that much. But I'm a little bit concerned just because a lot of people were talking about him not being able to use a dual threat,
Mm-hmm.
to the greatest extent of his abilities. And Lamar Jackson, that's the ultimate dual threat. So going to Jackson Dart and trying to get the best out of him, um, you know, I just have questions about whether or not that's going to be smart. But obviously, if you're the Giants, it's a home run move. It's a move you have to make if he wants to go there. So I'm excited to see what he does, and I think it'll be cool to see the Giants back to relevance if he's able to take them there. Just because
Yeah.
I think the sport will it's a little bit better. I think when the Giants are good, and they've had their highs and lows, kind of two random Super Bowls the last 15 years, and they
Mm-hmm.
weren't that great in the regular season. But like I said, I just think that they're better, in our division if they're kind of up there with the Cowboys and Eagles, kind of fighting for that top of the division as well. Stefanski, I am a little bit higher on the Falcons, like you said, than most. Um, I maybe not than most, but I just think they have so many weapons. If they get the right coach,
I do.
they'll be able to fly. I think, for sure. As long as they nail that quarterback position too, I think they gotta go with Kirk Cousins. Like barring you know some other free agent joining or something like that. I think Cousins showed tail end of this last year that if he was in from the beginning, they might have been in the playoffs with like 10 wins rather than scraping by
Yeah.
at 8 and 9 or whatever. I think Stefanski's a really good coach. He won coach of the year twice, man, on the Browns of all
with the
teams. If
Browns, yeah, man.
you can succeed in Cleveland, man, I feel like you can do it just about anywhere. He's going to have the most weapons that he's ever had on a Browns team ever. So,
Mhm.
I got high hopes for him. Titans hiring Saleh. Like you said, I like the Saleh hire. I did think it was a little bit out of left field. Maybe some people were expecting a little bit more than I was, but it's impressive that he was on the Jets, and like nobody's going to do good on the Jets, but he still got them to 7-10 2 years in a
Mhm.
row, which is better than most Jets teams. And one of
Mhm.
those years was with, or I think both technically were with Zach Wilson, because
Mhm.
it was Zach Wilson, I think, in his rookie or second year, and then Rodgers went down, so they were forced to play Wilson the rest of the year. So,
Yep.
7-10 might win you a division if you're in the freaking NFC South. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
they're
Facts.
they couple bounces of the ball the other direction, maybe they make a little bit of run there, but not a run, but you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So solid stuff there. Dayball, I like the quarterback developer he is. I just really feel like
Yeah.
they have to get this iteration right, because Cam Ward, I feel like he can be a really, really good talent in the NFL,
Mhm.
and hopefully they don't screw that up. So a
Yeah.
couple other guys getting offensive coordinating jobs. McDaniel to the Chargers. He was big time name out there for head coaching jobs if he wanted it. Decided to kind of settle with the Chargers and go work with Justin Herbert. And then kind of big news, kind of just old names. Eric Bieniemy back in Kansas City to
Saw
be
that,
their
yeah.
offensive coordinator. Finally getting rid of Matt Nagy. Goodness gracious, I can't believe he lasted as long as he did over there. But Bieniemy, this was kind of big because when Patty Mahomes was thrown for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns and winning MVPs, he was the OC that they had back then. And I saw a comparison stat, like when Bieniemy left, Pat Mahomes basically immediately went to like 3,000 yards and like 25
Really?
touchdowns for like
Wow.
3 straight years.
Mhm.
And then, with him back, everybody's expecting him to go back to that. But it was like Bieniemy, 5,000, 47, 48, and like 2 MVPs or whatever. And then Matt
Mhm.
Nagy got hired and it was like 3,000. So, the
Crazy.
difference is crazy
The
there. Bieniemy's kind
drop
of
off.
bounced around since then. I think they got him from Chicago as like a running backs coach or something like that. So we'll see
Hmm.
if he's able to put the lightning back in the bottle there. But McDaniel also pretty good hire by the Chargers here.
I think it's a great hire. I mean, he's gonna get the most out of Herbert for sure. And I mean, the offensive minds coming together in I almost said San Diego, LA. I'm so stuck on San Diego Chargers. I don't know why. It's been so long. But
Yeah.
McDaniels and Harbaugh coming together because Harbaugh's an offensive guy who's kind of like, forward thinking as well, and just going to be able to get the most out of Herbert, and have an OC that he can trust. Because like, even though you're an offensive mind, like whatever side of the ball that you cater towards as a coach, like you still have to run everything out. So you can't like solely focus on the offense. And so bringing someone who's forward thinking and a very intelligent person, obviously it didn't work with Miami as well as people probably hoped. It still was pretty good. Like he had some multiple winning seasons and did the most with Tua, and Tua's not the greatest quarterback in the league. Now he's working with Herbert, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming that it will go better. So I think it's a great hire. I think it's a good move
Yeah.
for him to kind of go back to an OC role, show everybody what he's made of, and maybe in the next cycle get another chance as a head coach. But who knows if he even wants to do that at this point.
Yeah, obviously it was hot stuff at the beginning of his tenure in Miami, but it kind of all fizzled out there at the end. Then that leaves us with the Cardinals, Browns, and Raiders, all left without a coach. All three of those are tough sells as head coaches. Cardinals,
Yeah.
three teams in your division with 11 or more wins. That's going to be really, really tough. They don't really have that many weapons except for Trey McBride and maybe like a James Conner. Kyler Murray, rumors that he might be on the out, so just kind of a dumpster fire over there. Browns, just Browns are the Browns. They're always going to be a dumpster fire. Did you see the stuff coming out about their interview process? They got to like
Yeah.
take like a personality test, and they got to
And
like
write an
submit
essay.
essays. Yeah, dude. Like, you're already the worst job in the entire NFL. Like, don't make it harder on yourself. Like,
It just makes
don't be
Stefanski look so
idiots.
much better. Like those two
Exactly,
coaches of the
dog.
years with those owners and that Mickey Mouse clubhouse going on over there, dude. Like,
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
like,
and then
dog.
yeah,
The
and
fact
then
that
we
they
got
got rid of him in the first place is like, what are we doing?
all right. Yeah, stupid. And
Give
then we
him a
got the
quarterback.
Raiders. Really, only thing they got going over there is
First
Genty and
overall
maybe like a
pick. Yeah.
Brock Bowers.
And the first overall pick, that's about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Which, like, I guess they're gonna have to take another quarterback again.
They're gonna have to take
Freaking
Fernando. Like,
idiots.
there's no way. There's no way
Yeah.
they do anything else.
Poor Fernando's just gonna get beat up his rookie year, but
Yeah,
whatever, man.
absolutely,
Moving on to
absolutely.
a couple news here. Obviously, we're over at an hour now in NFL talk. Absolutely
Ayo.
ridiculous. But Shador, the GOAT, makes his first Pro Bowl of his career in his rookie year. Cannot think of a quarterback that deserves it more than Shador freaking Sanders off playing 5 games and throwing for 12 interceptions.
Oh my gosh, dude. When you sent this to me, I couldn't even believe my eyes. And I put something up on social media and I got some comments back from it, and people were just like, because what I put up, I was like, has the NFL even heard of like a Herbert or a Trevor Lawrence? Like,
Well,
what
Herbert's
are we doing?
technically on the roster, but I think he's hurt. So, but
Yeah,
Trevor
Herbert's
Lawrence is
hurt.
not in there.
And then I was like, well, Trevor Lawrence, I don't think is hurt. And like, they're all like, well, maybe he just denied it or whatever. And I'm sitting there like, it's a flag football game now. Do they even pad up anymore? Like I don't know, dude. But all the reports I was seeing was they jumped right to Shador. And a lot of people were kind of getting on the NFL because we all know why they're doing it. They're trying to get views for the Pro Bowl. Like, no one's tooted in to watch freaking Shador in the freaking Pro Bowl. But this is another thing. Like, this is on his resume, quote unquote, forever. Like, he's a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know,
No,
man. It's how does the NFL even look themselves in the mirror and say
brother.
like take themselves seriously? Because I can't even
Yeah.
take them seriously after this.
Well, for me, this is just the final straw of the Pro Bowl or being named to the Pro Bowl meaning anything. Because for several years now, you have these stupid alternates that come in because someone's hurt or because someone's in the Super Bowl. So then you have guys like Tyler Huntley and Mac Jones like making it to Pro Bowls, which I think is just disrespectful to you know just the Pro Bowl and what it is. Because like for a while it was like, oh, he's a 7-time Pro Bowler, like that would legitimize you as like a real player in the NFL. But now you're just handing these things out, and like you said, it's Allen Herbert and May for the AFC, but then you have Trevor Lawrence sitting there, who probably should have been named over Herbert. Having the Jags at like 12 or 13 wins and being in the conversation for MVP. You got Bo Nix hanging around, which he wouldn't have been able to play anyway, so that's kind of a scratch anyway. I think Aaron Rodgers deserved it more. I would even make a case for Cam Ward being in there. I would make a case for
dude.
CJ Stroud, even though he sucked in the playoffs. He was pretty good in the regular season. So, but the fact that you have a guy in there that, again, played for what, 6, 7 games?
Something like
And he
that.
threw 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Like,
Yeah.
what a joke, dude. What an absolute joke. Again, this is the final straw of the Pro Bowl. Just scratch it at this point. Just like name Pro Bowlers instead of having a game. Kind of like they do with the All-Americans, where they're just, all right, you're an All-American, congratulations, here's a trophy or whatever, and they move on. Like, completely stupid. It's obviously a PR move. It's obviously just trying to, like, I don't think it's even like to elevate him or try to get like accolades to his name. It was strictly just like maybe to get people to watch the game. Maybe they're like, "Hey man, you want to play flag football?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I'll play." And then they're like, "All right, you're on the team," kind of thing, which is completely dumb, dude.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is he's gonna milk this for all it's worth. Like, dude,
Yeah,
like it's gonna be the
that's what I'm
Shador
saying. Now he's
time
gonna be like
everywhere.
Pro Bowl QB in his Instagram
Yeah.
bio or whatever, which used to mean something, but now I don't know.
Yeah, used to mean exactly. Used
So
to mean something. It's so stupid. And I have my qualms with like the NBA doing like a minimum games played like for certain
Yeah.
awards and stuff like that.
I loved
But
it at the
like,
beginning. Now I'm like, eh.
yeah, like I have my qualms with it, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But like, what about the people that get hurt? And it's like, well, it's not their fault. They're not like sitting out. But like, I can get it for like situations like this. Like Shador played 6 games and he wasn't even that good. Like, give it to somebody that played a full season. Like you said, Cam Ward, like, played a
Yeah.
full season. Trevor Lawrence played a full season. Like, I get people get hurt, but like we jump instantly to freaking Deion Sanders' son, and we're gonna throw him in the Pro Bowl because we need views.
I don't think the season thing even cares. I don't even care about the season thing. Like, we have Trevor Lawrence, who threw for 4,000 yards and won
Yeah.
12 games this year, and had his team in the playoffs. But we're gonna give it to whatever. It's just whatever.
Yeah.
And not to get off schedule, but the NBA thing, like I said, I loved the rule at the beginning for for the accolades and the MVP to being like minimum 60 something games or whatever. Because I was like, great, time management or the whole load management thing is going to go away, yada, yada. And it was great for that. That worked. But then you have guys missing out on key awards that probably should be in the contention for it just because they missed it by 1 or 2 games or whatever.
Exactly.
So then you have like Giannis's and Luka's missing out on all NBAs and not being in an MVP conversation because they didn't make enough games. But it is what it is. So
then it
speaking
deletes
of
that award as well.
yeah,
Anyways.
exactly. Speaking of things that don't matter anymore, apparently the Hall of Fame is doing its best to not matter either. Bill Belichick will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. News coming out basically an hour before we started filming here that he did not garner enough votes to make it to the next round of the Hall of Fame voting for this year, and therefore will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer as a man who won 6 Super Bowls as a head coach and another 2 as a coordinator. What say you, Mr. Son? Do you think he should have been on the first ballot?
All right, as much as we don't like the Patriots, like this guy, like say what you want.
Should have won
Spygate,
10.
Deflategate, all this, like the dude is quite literally one of the best, and in some people's mind, the best coach to ever coach football in the history of the sport. Obviously, he doesn't have certain records. He doesn't have the total win record like people thought that he would get, but without a doubt, he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer because like I don't know. I didn't even see like a lot of reasons why people like he wasn't voted. Like some people were citing like Spygate and Deflategate were like reasons that people didn't vote for him, and like he just left a bad taste in people's mouths. But like his success is undeniable, and if we're gonna say that Bill Belichick isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, then there's a lot of other guys that should not be in the Hall of Fame up to this point. And so I think it's the NFL just trying to like who votes on these? Is it like media or is it like execs? Like
I'm not exactly sure. I think it's a mixture of like former players, maybe some media. Again, I think it's a mixture of
I was gonna
different
say it
people.
couldn't be
So.
all media because the media is on fire right now. They don't know what to do with themselves because Bill Belichick didn't make the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. But yeah, I was more shocked than anything. Again, not a Patriots fan, not even that much of a Belichick fan, obviously, but he
Yeah.
definitely should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion.
Yeah. The little I was seeing about it was that did seem like it was a main player in it as far as Spygate and Deflategate. I think there's another one in there too that I'm blanking on, but just those scandals, the people that voted on them, like I said, a lot of them are former players and coaches or whatever. They felt like maybe he needed to pay to some extent for those scandals, even though a lot of people don't even remember them because it's been so long. But maybe they're the people that are on the receiving end of some of those cheating scandals. So ultimately, I don't think it's not that big of a deal because he'll probably just get in next year or whatever. So he's still going to make it to the Hall of Fame, obviously. But that was the biggest thing. I also think this is just my own 2 cents, but like I think the 2-3 years after Brady left and the Patriots being so bad might have had something to do with it too, like as far as like legitimizing his run. Like a lot of people were saying the whole Brady versus Belichick thing, who was more deserving, who mattered more, and obviously it's going to be somewhere in the middle, but a lot of people are coming down on that Brady side just because he went to the Bucks and almost immediately won a Super Bowl with them as well. Um, so the fact that maybe people think that it was more Brady and the fact that he wasn't able to immediately win with the Patriots after Brady left, even though they're obviously in a rebuild after that, which isn't fair to him, but maybe there was something, to that effect as well. Maybe it had something to do with him not being in. But I do understand the scandals too, but, not every Super Bowl win was a scandal. And even if he only won 2 or 3, he still would be absolutely a first ballot Hall of Fame coach in my opinion. And again, he has 2 others as a coordinator too, which is
Yeah,
wild. So,
exactly.
the man's got
Exactly.
8 Super Bowls. What's he got to do? Win 10?
Yeah, I'm sure.
So,
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come out more and more. Like these things always start to trickle out, like what people were thinking and feeling when they were voting and kind of the reasoning behind it. But right
and
now, it baffles me.
and I don't want to completely delegitimize like the character aspect of the game. Like baseball does this all the time where like, oh, he did drugs when he was 12. We're going to not vote him
Yeah,
into the Hall of Fame and stuff
yeah,
like that.
exactly.
So I don't think it should be completely thrown out the window, but yeah, definitely seems a little bit much in this instance here. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But with that being said, that's a little long on the NFL. But like we said, in a couple weeks, we will not have any more NFL to talk about. So squeezing the most we can out of it. Obviously, we'll dive into some off-season stuff with different, players retiring, signing, different coaches and different things getting fired and hired during the offseason as well. I'm sure we're not done with that. But without further ado, we're going to get into a little soccer and hop over the pond, and then we will get out of here.
hopping over the pond for a little football talk before we get out of here.
Like we usually do.
First game, best game of the weekend.
It was a good game.
But unfortunately for my Gunners, not a
Oh
good game
boy.
as far as a result goes.
The collapse
Arsenal Man
begins.
U, OG English football rivalry here. Obviously going back to the early 2000s when it was basically Arsenal Man U for the title every year. Wasn't around for those days, unfortunately, but I am around for Arsenal being in first place so far, and a very, very good game against the Man United squad that are coming fresh off of firing their manager. Michael Carrick now in charge and leading the Red Devils against my Gooners. We take the lead with a Lissandro Martinez own goal, which is, again, the only way that we can score own goals in corners. Brian Mbuemo coming back with a goal off of one of our off of the mistakes from one of our center backs, which is pretty rare these days. Dorgu with an absolute screamer, putting it in the top
Belter.
left. Mikel Merino coming back, which was what I thought was a good tying goal in the 84th, only for Mateus Cunha to come down and get another screamer, put right in the corner on David Raya. Had no chance for a 3-2 Man United dub. Busy boy, you said you watched this game. Absolutely crazy back and forth game. What are your thoughts on it?
Dude, I felt like I was 10 years old watching a game back in
Right?
like 2009, dog. Like, dude, the screamers from Dorgu and Cunha, like, dude, they were those were nasty, dog. So good. Also, I don't know why you guys don't start Mourinho more. Like,
Why we don't what?
why don't is it? Am I saying it right?
Mikel
Mourinho.
Merino.
Yeah, Marino.
Yeah, it's because
Like,
he was playing striker for us, and
and he
now that we
scored
have Joe,
goals.
yeah, exactly. A lot of people think he should be playing more, but
I'm not even an Arsenal fan, and I think that. But anyways, this was a great game to watch. Obviously, top of the league with Manchester United trying to figure things out after getting rid of their manager. I don't know. Is it what's his name?
Michael Carrick. Yep.
Michael Carrick. I think it's I don't know if he keeps doing this, man. It might be his job. He was brought in as the interim, kind of like to fill the gap to the end of the season so they could do an official manager search and find the replacement for Amarin, but I don't know, man. He's bringing some of that classic Manchester United swag back, dude. Like the goals took me back, and so I don't know. He got. I like what he's doing. Like, obviously, he's come in as like a fill-in manager, but he's like, for the time being, this is my team. He's implementing like some really, really good tactics, and it doesn't look like a team. Like I even mentioned this, like Manchester United was up later in the game, and they were still pressing up the field. Like they weren't just dropping into a box like a interim manager would, even at the beginning of the game would. And they were just taking it to Arsenal. They were like, "Nah, we're gonna press you all the way back. We're gonna play risky, and that's what you want to see out of a team with decent players."
Yeah, and that's what, a lot of more managers need to do when they're up a goal. You're not full on pressing where it's just, you're your center backs are at the half line and your wingers are all the way up in the opponent's box. It's not that kind of press, but just putting on that little bit of pressure so that the other team isn't just camped out in your own third of the field,
Yeah.
because that's where you invite the pressure. You invite the crosses in the box, and that just all the opportunities that come with that. But just sitting behind the ball, that's when you know you have 10 shots, one of them's probably going to go in eventually, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
or just however many. So the fact that they did that, I felt like it was just kind of useless at that point as an Arsenal fan to even try, because there was 7 minutes of extra time in the game, and it was like minute 4 or 5, and we didn't have one like cross into the box. We couldn't get anything even going in their third. So, and that was just a testament to like what you were saying. The press late on was really impressive stuff, and um like you were saying, the goals that they were scoring were really impressive, and Michael Carrick doing everything he can to make his if that's an application for his Man United position, that's a pretty good one. And
It is.
um he was interim before when actually Ronaldo played for them, and he won a Champions League against Villarreal. He tied against
Really?
you guys, beat us 3-2, and now he's interim again, and he's now beaten Man City and Arsenal back to back. So
Yeah.
um
Maybe you need to sign him.
maybe he
I
needs
don't
a little
know.
bit of a shout, but there's been plenty of interim managers at Man United that do really well, get signed on, and then absolutely wet the bed. So,
Yeah, that's true.
but honestly,
That's
dude,
true.
I'm so frustrated with how Arsenal play nowadays.
Mhm.
Like, it's just, I'm not even exaggerating when I say that the only way we can score is through own goals and corners. Like,
Yeah, it's
everybody is
tough.
roasting us online about being like set piece FC, and it's honestly like you can't even argue it anymore. It's absolutely what we are. Like, our fans start cheering when we're at home when we get a corner, because all we do is stack all of our players around the goalie, and it's just a
Uh-huh.
scrum, and hopefully it bounces to one of our guys. That's how Miko Marino scored our second goal, and just we put it in somehow, where it's just, and like, I'm gonna take whatever we can get as far as goals go, if it means bringing us a title. Kind of going back to the Patriots, if I was a Patriots fan, I'd be like, screw you guys, I don't care who we beat, we're in the Super Bowl, kind of thing. That's kind of
Mhm.
how I feel about Arsenal, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want us to win this way, just because like then you open yourself up to the haters. Like, I want us to play beautiful football where we're just beating teams, week in, week out, by playing great ball. And there's no doubt. But now going to this, like, just this, I don't even know what to call it, Arteta ball, where we just put everybody around the goalkeeper and hope it lands to one of our guys off a bounce, and we put it in. It's
Mhm.
just like, we have the players. We don't need to play like that. And the fact that we've resorted to that now is just so pathetic. I think it's lack of tactics on Arteta's part. I think we, like, going back to your point about players firing it from outside the box. I have been saying this for months now at this point. I don't understand why we don't give the players the freedom to do that, because we have so many guys that can rip one from outside the box. Trossard, Rice, Odegaard can all fire from distance. The fact that we have to Mickey Mouse it outside and dribble and dribble and dribble, and then get
Mhm.
a ball across goal inside the 6, and hopefully someone's there to just kind of pass it in. That's how all of our goals are, if they're even from open play. Like, it's just ridiculous to me. And again, I think it's that one dimensionality that's having us struggle, because we have been struggling the last 2 weeks. We're just lucky that Man City and Aston Villa haven't been at their best either. But everybody talks about bottle FC, and we probably would have bottled it by now if Man City were in their normal form. So
Yeah.
we got to get something going, dude, because I'm getting nervous. We're still 4 points clear, but we were 7 and 8 points clear less than 2-3 weeks ago. So it's coming, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I feel like
So
the how I feel about Pittsburgh is like the way you feel about Arsenal, like, all the
yeah,
time. Like
it's
like
just
you're
inevitable.
one of the most pessimistic Arsenal fans, even though you love them to death and you'll root for them till you die. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's usually around this time Manchester City kicks it into another level, and Arsenal just, I mean, with the offense that you're playing, like you said, like, that's not a recipe for success if the only way you can
No,
score
dude.
goals is the other team scoring them for you or set pieces. And
Yeah, and
so,
and it's
yeah, go
like
ahead.
so predictable. Like, again, if we were 8 points clear and we were playing great ball, and like there was, we're dominating people and all this stuff, like, I would feel a lot better about it. But it's predictable. So like, you pair the uncertainty and the way that we're getting our goals with the fact that we always bottle, and there is that pressure, and Man City from behind, all of it is just like the recipe for disaster in my mind. And like my Arsenal fan I always talk to during the games, like he's like, "Oh, I don't care as long as they go in. It's one step closer to the title." I was like, "But it's not sustainable. Like this is what's
No.
going to happen. Like when all we can do is score from corners and like lucky bounces, like at some point we're gonna be losing to freaking relegation sides, and Man City's gonna be picking up those points, and we still have that head to head against Man City, like so it just sets you up for failure, I think, and Arteta needs to figure it out and figure it out quick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. Just knowing that there's like this collapse that usually happens around this time every year is it's got to be nerve wracking, especially as a
So
fan. Just
avoidable too with our new signings, dude.
it really is. Yeah, and
And
like
it,
we alluded to,
sorry,
Manchester City is kind of like. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What'd you need?
it's fine. I was just gonna say again, this goes back to
Some more.
Arteta. We have the signings now. If we don't get it across the line now,
You want him
who
out?
else are we pointing to, bro? Like I've been saying this since last year when
Really?
we didn't even have the signings. I've been on this pod before saying this,
You have.
but now he
Yeah.
has every single signings. We're low key kind of loaded as far as if this team can't get it done with an 8-point advantage at Christmas,
Mm,
who else we looking to?
mm,
So
yeah. Little
just leave it there.
change coming up if you guys collapse again, huh?
Better be. I'm
You,
so
you,
done,
oh,
dude.
you sign off on that. All right. All right. All right.
Dude, I
Yeah.
signed off on this a year ago,
I know you
but
did. And
but
I was
yeah.
just like, I don't know, maybe, but you're right. They did give him the keys to the kingdom even more so this off season in order to
And
sign the players he wanted. They even got Gilchrist, who was like one of the top freaking signings of the summer.
yeah, he's been in and out of the squad, so I'll give him a little grace. But he's looked slow at times. But again, he might have been hurt. And I said I think a year ago when I was like calling for him to not necessarily get fired, but I was like, we need to start looking at him real hard after 5 years of no trophy. I said that I would have been okay with any kind of trophy, but I feel like at this point, like I'm not happy with just a Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
Like I need FA
Need
Cup,
more.
probably more like a Premier League or a Champions League at this point,
Mm,
judging how people talk about us at the beginning of the year. But
yep.
yikes, dude. But anyway, Man
Yikes, man.
City, Aston Villa both taking advantage and closed the gap on us by winning their
They
games
do.
pretty comfortably. Chelsea beating Crystal Palace
Let's
3-1.
go.
What's going on there? Who's your manager now? I don't even know.
Some dude that
Interim
we got from
interim
the
guy?
Bundesliga. I have no idea. Liam
Permanent?
Russen. Yeah, Liam Russen-Nor
Oh,
or something like that.
Rossignol. That's right. That's right. That's right. I remember him. He used
Yeah,
to be a
yeah.
player. He
Yeah,
used to
I
be a
mean,
player.
we're winning, so that's all right. I mean, Crystal Palace is kind of like one of those friskier teams that you don't want to play. Obviously, picked apart from the bigger teams, snatching a lot of their players in the offseason. But we brushed them aside 3-1. So a good little game. I think it
Yeah.
was Chris Richards. I mean, coming off of this is in the doc, and you don't have to give your opinion on it, but I thought it was kind of wild. I feel like you could give it to Pulisic every year, but he won USA Male Player of the Year or whatever over Pulisic, which is a good shout, but I don't know. I feel like there's a little Pulisic fatigue because I mean, you literally could give it to him every year if you wanted to.
I mean, Chris Richards been balling in the
He has been
Prem,
balling. He has been
FA
balling.
Cup, and Super Cup against Man City 1.
This
So
is true.
I
This
can
is
see
this
it.
is true. This was
Pulisic
his
been kind of
100th.
hurt the last year.
Yeah, he has been, and he's not in good form right now, which is not a good time to be dipping in form if you're Pulisic. We got a World Cup coming up. Let's get back on the horse here,
Okay.
bud. But yeah, this is Chris Richards' 100th appearance for Crystal Palace, so good for him. Good seeing guys stick around in the Premier League, and I think McKennie just had his like 200th appearance for Juventus, which is nuts. Good for him.
Wow.
But
Weston
yeah,
did?
just yeah.
Goodness.
Glad that Chelsea's back to winning ways against Crystal Palace, a formidable foe, but 3-1 victories against them. Not much to, I mean, I don't want to get hung up on this too much because I got to see a little bit more, the next few games, if we can start getting some results because we kind of fell off there in December. So we got to get back to our winning ways. Currently sitting in fifth right behind Manchester United, who seem to be on the up and up. So got to catch them. Speaking of Weston McKennie, Juventus wreck Napoli 3-0. I haven't been keeping up with the Serie A title race here. Is it still
Yeah.
as close as it was at the beginning, or is it kind of starting to like group up at the top?
So not quite as close. The only reason I included this was just because, you know, the couple big league battles. I'm kind of in and out on following City out as well, but Inter's now at the top, 52 points. Milan is second with 47, so nice little 5 point gap there for my Romanian brother up top.
Nice.
And then 4 points later, we got Roma in third, Napoli
Ooh.
also with 43 points, and then Juventus is sitting at that fifth place spot at 42. So 2 through 5 is still pretty close, but Inter trying to pull away there, and Milan and Roma playing to a draw definitely helped them out as well.
Como sitting at 6. That's kind of crazy.
Dude, I'm not going to say I told you so, but I kind of told you so. I was like, watch out for them because they got all that money coming up, and
They
Cesc
do.
Fabregas leading the squad. So kind of
Yeah.
knocking on the door there. So, but yeah, Juventus kind of wrecking Napoli's title hopes there with a convincing 3-0 victory there. We'll see if Napoli are able to hold on to the Champions League spot at this point with Juventus right on
Mhm.
their heels. And then Milan and Roma there, another heavyweight battle. Only reason I included that is just because Milan don't look quite as good as they did.
No.
They got dominated in that game. I watched a little bit of it. It was on Sunday afternoon. Pulisic's been in and out of the squad. I don't think he even played this game. I think he came off the bench, but not looked great, which, like you were saying, not a great look coming into a World Cup year.
Yeah, not good for US men's national team for sure. Obviously, we have more of a team than just him, but he's going to be a pivotal part come this summer, which we won't be at because unfortunately those tickets are. I'm so salty about that. I was talking to other people about that. Freaking tickets, dude. So mad. Just being freaking priced out of a World Cup on home soil, dude.
I
And it's
saw,
not even like I feel like we hope we'll be able to find some tickets, but I feel like whoever has tickets now knows the prices, so they know that they're gonna be able to just like $20,000 to go see Ecuador and El Salvador. Like, let's
dude,
no thanks.
I
Sorry.
saw something. It was World Cup final tickets. I think the cheapest ticket is something like 9 or 10 grand. And all the comments were like, dude, if like let's say England makes it, it's cheaper to fly over to England, stay in like a really nice hotel, chill with the locals and watch the World Cup final than it is to actually go to New York and just go to watch the
Mhm.
game.
Mhm.
Oh, which
Which,
is
you know what?
wild.
We should
But
just do that anyways. A pod
yeah.
over in the UK
Yeah.
in some like
But
freaking English pub with a bunch of
yeah,
lads, some
might be a
mates.
vibe. Might be a vibe.
That would be kind of
Before
cool.
we get out of here though, what do you think of Pulisic? Like obviously he is kind of our golden boy. Like, we have times where we talk about him as one of the better wingers in the world, kind of leading the Milan team, even though they kind of had a bad year last year and all that stuff. But then you have other moments where he's in and out of the lineup, whether he's hurt or whether he's not, just like has these super seemingly big dips in form. Like, I don't know. I feel like he's not like by far and away our best player anymore. Like, I still think he's our best
No,
player
no.
at his peak more than
Mhm.
likely, but I don't feel like he's because he was the first American to really play for a big club in a long time, like we
Mhm.
kind of anointed him, but I feel like, the other guys we have on the roster are just as good, on their day than he is, but I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I mean, one could argue Weston McKennie's in the best form of
Yeah.
his life right now too. I mean, three Champions League goals in the last 3 Champions League games. Like, I mean, then his coach is coming out and saying that he's like the perfect striker that plays an 8. Like, yeah, I think the gap between Pulisic and the rest of the group is definitely a lot smaller,
Mm.
especially with, like you just said, Pulisic taking a dip in form. Like, it seems like an annual thing where he'll start really hot and then all of a sudden, like, he's like a one trick pony and everyone figures him out. So he's not as
Yeah.
effective and it's kind of showing its head right now. So, hopefully, he just finds it right before the World Cup because, I mean, as much as I like Milan, I care way more about the men's national team and how well we're gonna do this year in the World Cup.
Yeah. I
But
just felt
yeah.
like he's not by far and away like
No, no.
the guy anymore like he was maybe when he first broke through. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
It was always in the moment, we were like, "Yeah, he's the best player," but we definitely got to a point where we are just like, well, some of these other guys, like if
like he's not
Rain,
untouchable anymore is my point, I
yeah,
guess.
like if Reyna didn't fall off after that whole World Cup drama and debacle after we got back, like everyone was saying by far, like Reyna's potential is like the sky. Where Pulisic was like, yeah, he's really good, and his potential is like best on, like he was like for a little bit there, he was probably AC Milan's best player, but like that was kind of his limit. Like maybe scratching world class like he has, but like we haven't seen enough to be like, oh yeah, Christian Pulisic could literally be like one of the best players, not just in his position, but best players in the world. Where some were saying like if Reyna got his act together, he has the talent to be one of those guys, but who knows?
Yeah, big if.
Big if. But yeah, I think that's a pod, Sammy.
That is a pod.
All right, we appreciate you guys for listening and tuning in once again this week. If you guys could, please like and subscribe on the video. That would help us out a lot. Go follow us also on our social medias, which we're only active on TikTok and Instagram. Maybe we'll fire up the Twitter machine here in a little bit. Kind of hard to run all those things when you actually have a full-time job. This is just a little side thing, but again, like and subscribe, rate and follow wherever you get your podcast, Spotify and Apple Podcast, and on YouTube. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys on the next one. All right.
Peace.